see what I'm painting. Well, if you're just joining me, welcome to my channel. I've been painting for quite a long time, and I finally decided to go ahead and do a video on one of my well, not one of, but this is one I'm painting today. But I've been painting some surfboards. Got a few of these surfboards laying around. I was going to show you right quick, kind of give you an idea. Finished this one yesterday here. One I painted and really happy with it. I got the clear coat put on it, so it's got a little shine on it now, so to protect the paint. But yeah, I'm very happy with this one. And then here's a bigger version of what we're gonna be painting today. Me and whoever else is watching. This one here is a little bit bigger version of the, trying to get a good angle. Yeah. Anyway, enough about that. Just figured I'd show you what this is. What I've been painting lately. So yeah, I'll probably have these on. I'll put them on my Facebook page at Surfshot Creations. All right, so let me get the. I got 2 minutes. 2 minutes till 1 o'clock. I figured I'd start close to 1 o'clock. It's possible. Going to be painting with acrylics. The paint. Mainly, I use a lot of Liquitex paints. These probably some of my favorite paints here. I haven't really strayed too far from them. They work really well, and have a little bit of Winsor Newton, a little bit of those paints too. So, but all acrylic, just acrylics. That's what I like to use, just the acrylic paints. If you do have some questions for me, you can obviously leave them in the comments down there. I probably won't be checking them very often because I want to just focus on getting this painting done today. Hopefully I can knock it out maybe less than an hour. We'll see. If you wanted to stop by, say hey and support, let me know you stopped by. Some friends of mine I'm hoping to see today. If not, then they're probably busy. It is a Friday. I figured after everybody got done eating lunch, maybe if you had a chance to pop by and say hey and see what I'm painting today. I'm gonna go ahead and put some paint on my paper plate / palette. Go ahead and put some of those on there. Patiently waiting, and then I'll get started. I don't want to leave you hanging too long. Just start off with a nice glob of white. I usually like to try the pile of white right in the middle, and that way I can work around it. I'm gonna put this. This is turquoise blue. Put a little bit of turquoise blue on there too. I'm not gonna need a whole bunch because this is not a very large painting. I tend to get a little silly, so if you're a very serious person watching me, just take me with small doses. I get depending on how much sugar I've had today, I'll tend to get pretty silly. I've been trying to keep my sugar intake down to a minimal today, so but occasionally I get a good boost. All right, we got some blue, some whites. Let's get some orange on here. Gotta get that orange. I love that. I like it to. My favorite paintings are doing silhouettes. I just like doing silhouette art. I do a lot of other art, but some of my favorites is working, just doing silhouette. I'm not putting a very, large amount of paint on my plate right now because this is not a very big, surface I'm painting, and I can always add more. I think this surfboard is around 3 feet. If you're just curious, it's 3 feet tall, and let's see how wide it is. trusty ruler. 10 wide, 3 foot long, if you're wondering. It's made out of 1/4-inch plywood paneling. Nice smooth paneling I got from the store. I actually did a video on this process of cutting these out. So if you want to go to Surfshot Creations, I did do a video on what it takes to cut out these surfboards. And let's see what else. Yellow. I need some yellow. This is primary yellow. Primary yellow. Pencil glob there. And then we're going to put some, let's see, some red. Let's get some red. This is Cad Red, medium hue. Put a little bit of that on there too. I usually don't put too much red on that stuff. I use just a little bit for the pink sky. So hope everybody's doing good out there. Like I said, I do appreciate whoever's watching stopping by, and get to watch me do this painting live. I love it. I love it. All right. Let's see. I got to wear some glasses because my eyeballs are not quite as crispy as they used to be. As I'm getting older, my eyes they're not as good as they used to be. But I can still see fine. All right, so we're going to start off. I've already drawn placement. Obviously, you can see the girl. I got her doing the hang loose sign. I did put some. I don't know if you can see them, but there's some little. I have a stencil, and I did some overlays of some paste here, like a gel paste, modeling paste. And I put those down there, and then they dried, and I sanded them down. So when I paint this whole thing, I got right here. This one here has got it on it. I don't know if you can see it. At the bottom here, I've got the modeling paste at the very bottom. And it kind of gives it like a 3D, like a two-dimensional look. And then I've got some modeling paste here on the wave. I've got the lay flower inside the white water behind the surfboard. That looks pretty cool. I don't know. And I did add some glitter on this one here. I don't know if you can see it, but I put a little bit of glitter for the sun reflecting down in the sky. I don't know. I just come up with these crazy ideas, and then I just tinker with the idea and then see what it looks like. And I was very happy with the results on that. All right, so I'm gonna place in the sun. Also, before I get started, pardon the splash of ruler hitting the ground. Let's see, the last one I put the sun here on the last one. So let's put the sun. I think I'm going to put it. I don't know. Does anybody have a suggestion on where I should make the sun circle at? I don't know. I feel like I need to put it somewhere different, but I think I'm just going to put it over here on this side this time. I just got a regular mechanical pencil. And I'm just going to very lightly draw in that sun right there. Happy sun. Happy sun. All right. And when I paint this, the pencil lines I'll bury this pencil lines with the paint and all. I'm just going to start off with this particular painting. I'm just going to start off with a flat brush. This is a good brush I like to use on a lot of my paintings. It's a 1-inch flat brush. So if you're wondering what I'm starting off with, it's just a 1-inch flat brush. I I do like 90% of my paintings with one brush, pretty much. I need to buy some more of these brushes because I do use them quite a lot. So I like to wet my brush a little bit, give it an old quick bath, and then I just kind of get some of the water out of the bristles. And I don't have, actually, I forgot to put in the horizon line. I'm going to put it in horizon line also, so I kind of know where I want the top of the wave. I'm just going to sketch in. She's going to be up near the top of the wave. So I'm just going to sketch in the wave, top of that wave right there. And I'm going to work on the sky first. I'm just going to jump right into that white paint. And I'm going to jump right into some of that yellow. I got white on one side, yellow on the other. I'm going to just get in there and put a nice layer of this white and bright yellow. I figure when I do these, when I do the silhouette paintings, I always try to keep in mind, I want to do like really, really bright sunrise or sunset. I guess it all depends on where this girl is surfing at, but I try to do some really bright colors. I'm just going to put a tiny bit of orange in there. My head in the way there. I can try to paint a little bit to the side on this background. Now I do have I traced over my pencil marks with a permanent marker. That way when I go to paint, I had to adjust my microphone, sorry about that. When I go to paint the background, I can just paint right over the Sharpie and it'll still show up. Sometimes if you try to paint over top of pencil marks, depends on what kind of lead it is, the pencil lead will actually start smearing into the paint, and depends on how much paint you're putting on. You might cover up the drawing with, so I've learned a quick, easy way. If you just trace it out with a fine tip permanent marker, I get the, this is the fine point. They have the ultra fine point, but those don't last very long. I just get a brand new fine point and I just lightly draw over top of my pencil marks. This is all the silhouette's gonna be black anyway, black and dark gray, so you're not even gonna see those Sharpie marks once you get into, start putting the silhouette colors in. Well, not really colors, but the black and white. So basically I'm just quickly placing in this orange and yellow and white to give this a really nice, super bold background. I do recommend, if you're gonna do a painting, paint the edges in the moment while you have that paint right on your brush. Because if you come back later on and try to paint, try to match those colors, it makes it a little more difficult to try to remember what color you actually had on your brush at that particular time. So my tip, here's tip number one. Tip number one is, when you're near the edge there, go ahead and just hit the side of that canvas or that wood or whatever, whatever you're painting there. Just go ahead and ease on over there and hit that edge right quick while you have that paint in the brush in the moment. So as I get closer, I'm starting off with like I said, I'm starting off with a nice bright yellow and white at the bottom, and then I'm just using lighter pressure and I'm blending right on up into the sky as I'm going further up the surfboard there. It's giving me a chance to really get a nice blend on that sky. I'm going to put a little more white here at the bottom. Try to paint in some distance clouds that are just hovering over the top of the water. Now let's see. I think I'm going to put a tiny bit of pink in here. Model in some, blend in some pink. The key to blending is keep enough paint on your paintbrush. That paintbrush starts drying out on you. Sometimes you may just have to go do a light dunk in the water there. That's tip number 2. Hope you're writing these tips down. I do have the habit of blending a lot of my colors on the canvas as I'm painting. Sometimes I'll blend them on my palette, but a lot of times I just shortcut it and blend it right there on the canvas. I'd say that's probably not the best habit to get into, but like I said, I've just been painting a long time, so it's one of those things that I kind of just learned to do, and I do a lot of. Just blend it right there on the canvas, or the surfboard, whatever. Just going to quickly get this edge. So yeah, the sky is coming along nicely. I kind of, when I paint, a lot of times I'll do like these, instead of just painting back and forth, I kind of do these X's. I do a lot of X's. And then I can come back and use light pressure, and I can blend that wet on wet sky. Now, if I try to get down here where the paint's already drying, I'm not gonna be able to blend down there. So don't go, stay here, keep working, as you're going closer to the top. You don't want to go backwards into that sky. Go back down towards the bottom. It just could run into some trouble. And I do work quickly on these skies. Like I said, when you're blending, paint dries quick, because this is I'm not putting like a ton of paint on my brush. I'm putting just enough paint on there to get a good blend. And I try to keep in mind when I'm doing these silhouette skies, to keep in mind that the sun is going to be right there in the picture, in the painting. So I want to try to keep the sky, nice and bright. Because if you look at any kind of silhouette paint, any pictures, photographs of silhouette photograph or anything, there's always a lot of sunlight in the background, whether it's in the mountains or wherever. I mean, on the ocean and stuff like that. There's usually a really bright sun in the background, and it blocks out all the color on the subject of the person or the trees or whatever you're taking a picture of. You're going to lose all the color on the one focal point on the piece of art. I think this one is I'm going to do this one be a sunset surf session where she's out surfing towards the end of the day, and that sun is starting to set. Obviously, I guess this would be on the West Coast. This would be a West Coast surfer. And probably, I think she's probably catching, this is probably her last wave of the day, I'm guessing. I don't know. I don't know. This might be her very first wave. She just paddled out, and this is probably her very first wave. I did tape this surfboard to my easel so it wouldn't fly off of here. I'm just gonna take this big brush and just lightly go around this sun. Try to get right up to that pencil mark. And then once I get a little bit of color around it, I'm actually going to do like a halo. I think I'm going to add a little halo in around this particular painting. Quick look over here. Just going to get this edge right quick before I forget. All the way to the top of the nose. Doesn't take long to paint these skies. If you see, we're going it's only been about, I don't know, 15 minutes. I think I'm going to put a little more pink up here. This thing is noisy, oh my goodness. Nothing like a metal art easel. Does make some noise on the back of this wood. Let me get some paint on this top edge. Let's see, I'm going to just get a little more pink right through here. I like to do kind of like these wispy skies where I'm creating some wispy clouds. And then this sunset. All right, I'm going to put a little bit of a halo glow around the sun. And I'm going to put some white paint. I'm just going to take my 1-inch brush. I'm just going to put in, get over on this side. Just going to put a coat of white in there. I'm just going to use very light pressure. I'm just going to go around the sun. Put that glow in. Like a halo around it. This is kind of a dry brush effect. I don't have we got a interesting little piece of paint, dried up paint right there. He's gone. And I'll come back with I'm gonna come back with a little bit of yellow, bright yellow. Just keep working on that circle. I'm gonna put a touch of orange. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. When I paint circles, I try to, as I'm painting, I can, I try to imagine keeping the same circle, just keep making it a little bit bigger as I go around, kind of Keep it symmetrical there. Just going to paint in a couple more wisps. I like it. I like it. All right, check the edges real quick. Looks like I got plenty of paint on the sides. That side looks good. That side looks good. I think I'm going to stop there on the sun, the sky. I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that. All right, next. Let's figure out the colors for the water. All right. Probably don't want to leave this brush with that paint in it because I don't want to have, I want to start off with like a super dark horizon line, the top of that wave where that wave's cresting right there. I'm going to have like some really nice dark colors right through there. And that brush is nice and clean. Nice and clean. I didn't take that brush and, cram it down on the bottom of that cup. I just lightly bounce it off the bottom there. Actually, you can just dunk it, and then a lot of times the water just falling out of the brush will actually pull the water right out, or pull the paint right out of the brush. All right, now let's see. I'm gonna daub my brush just in case there's any water drips. I'm gonna start. I need a tiny bit of black on my palette. Just gonna put a little bit of black right here beside the phthalo blue. So I want to darken up. I want this top of the wave right here kind of like a muted blue. So I'm just barely putting any, barely putting any black in there, just the smallest amount. But I got the phthalo blue and I've got the turquoise. I'm bouncing back and forth between the turquoise and the phthalo with just a scotch of black. Give me that nice dark turquoise color. And I'm just going to use my brush, instead of flat this way, I'm going to turn on edge. And I'm just going to lightly put a tiny bit of pressure on that brush and just drag it right across where my pencil line was for the side of that wave. And I'm loading up my brush this time with some more paint. I'm going to go ahead and hit the edge right here. Also, while I have that good bit of paint in my brush. Let's get this side real quick too. I'll paint about halfway down. There's going to be some, I'm going to put some orange glow reflecting off the sun here. I have it where it's kind of cascading down into the water. So I'm just going to bounce back and forth between the phthalo and the turquoise. And keep in mind, as this wave is breaking, since she's going to the left, the wave most likely is going to curve this way like that. I'm going to go through this water here pretty quickly because this is kind of like a first coat type process. I try to keep the, when you start getting into the darker colors, you got to be careful if you go over top of your Sharpie. It'll still show through, but sometimes you got to be careful and you'll get a really dark color in there. And then you'll lose your edge of your Sharpie there and you won't be able to see. see where your lines are anymore. Try to hold the surfboard and hold my palette of colors so I won't bounce around so much. I'm going to put a little bit of white so you can see the direction of the wave is breaking. I'm just leaving the blue paint right in my brush. I'm just getting right into that white. I'm not putting a ton on there, but you know, a fair amount so it'll show up and blend. So basically on this painting, there's just the nose of her surfboard. She's hanging 10. Probably told you that. She's hanging 10 right on the nose of the surfboard. So basically all the surfboard is buried in the white water. There's not a whole lot of surfboard that's going to need to be painted. Maybe I'm trying to figure out how I can get that to quit making that noise. I can take a foam brush maybe and put it back here. No. that didn't work at all. It's all right. All right. So if your paintbrush is not covering, if your paint's not covering very well, you just need to put some more paint in that brush. All right, so what I'm going to start doing now is I'm going to leave these voided areas where I can place in some reflection of the sun and the sky. It's going to be reflecting onto the water. So I'm just going to leave some blank areas where I can do that, and I'll come back and place in some orange and some yellow. So it's kind of broken up. Over here is going to be a bunch of white water, so I'm just going to place in some splash right here while I have a little bit of the blue going on. And then I'll come back with, when this dries, I'll come back with some pure white, and I'll add a little bit of dark gray down here for shadowing. So we'll have, I will have, start off with some light blue here and then come in with some pure white once this section here dries. I'll zap it with the hair dryer. All right, so let's see. I think I'm going to stop with the blue. Get my hat in the way. Sorry about that. I'm going to rinse out my brush. Rinse out the brush. And then put some yellow and some orange, a little scotch of pink in that water. Probably good enough right there. I'm going to hit this with the hair dryer with my cold setting. Just going to put it on low. Just try to dry this just a quick minute. Good thing about latex acrylics is it dries really quickly. The sun is just about dry. You're painting down the bottom here. If you get some yellow and that blue together, guess what color that's going to make? Green. I mean, there's green in the ocean, so it works well. You just don't want too much green in the sky. All right. We're definitely at the halfway point on this one. This is moving quickly. I do tend to paint fast sometimes. You have to forgive me if I'm painting kind of quick and if you're taking notes. It's I'll do another painting a little more step by step, a little slower. But figure today you can just watch. All right. All right. So I got a clean brush. I'm using the 1-inch brush still. Going to get some white in there. Gonna mix this on my palette this time. I'm not going to be mixing on my canvas. My canvas. This is not a canvas. On my board. I usually do paint on canvas, but not today. I'm actually going to pop a seat. I'm going to sit down on this section here because it's just way more comfortable. All right, so on this particular section, I'm holding my brush I'm using the thin part of it so I can make some controlled lines. And I'm just going to bounce back and forth between the yellow, the white, and the orange. And I'm just going to paint in the sections of the water that I left the voids from the blue. And as I'm painting, I'm trying to stay with the same motion as the ocean. I like it. The same motion as the ocean. And this is definitely a lot of layers on this particular process. Using the yellow and white and the orange, it gets kind of transparent. So sometimes you just have to go back and put another little second layer on there. If that's what you're, wanting to do. And I got to kind of jab around these modeling paste areas. Try to get all the paint in all those little teeny nooks and crannies. So yeah, a quick note. If you wondering how long I've been painting, pushing 25 years now. Yeah, I started in San Diego, and I lived out there, and I started painting out there, and it looked fun. So I had to try it, and I learned really quick that it's a lot more work than I thought. It was difficult, which that's how most things are if you don't know how to do them. Got to learn somewhere. But I started painting down there in San Diego on the beaches. Just bought some simple uh, paints and some simple brushes and a little bit of canvas and gave it a whirl. And then I just kind of kept practicing and practicing and a little more practicing. 25 years later, 25 years later, here I am on YouTube painting for you. So if you're still sticking around with me, hey, I really greatly appreciate the audience. Um, very, very happy that you're able to have a little time to watch me paint this surfer girl. I don't get too crazy detailed on the water because I want it to be not a real high blend or anything like that. Like the sky is nice and soft, but I want the water to be kind of broken up and have lots of character into it. Maybe the wind is blowing a little bit hard on this particular day of surfing, so there's lots of texture on the surface. Now I'm going to go in there back into the blue section and add in a little bit of colors right on top of that blue. That's why I went ahead and dried it, so I didn't blend the blue into my oranges and yellows and pinks. So I figure the sun is glaring down right on top of the surface of the water here. I don't want to get too crazy up near the top because that's where the water is really smooth as it's peeling right here. And then as you get further down, that's where the sunlight's actually reaching where the water down here is. Just enough, trying to balance it out. I'm really happy with that. Really happy with that. That's close enough. I can put some more white water in there, and then I'll paint in the silhouette. All right, so I'm just going to drop my brush in the water, my cup of water, and I'm just going to leave that in there soaking. And I'm grabbing a round brush. I don't know, probably 1/2 inch across. Nice round brush there. See that? And I'm just going to use this to blot in the white water that's in this section right here from where she's going down the wave that way. And I'm going to need a little more white. Going to leave some more white. All right. So I basically just have, nice little pile of white on the end of that brush there. And I like to kind of I'm just kind of jabbing the paint, pressing it down so a lot of the paint goes in those bristles. And I'm just going to basically just blot on a nice coat of white here. I'm just going to go right over that light blue water that I created earlier. Just going to kind of pull some of that water across. Because as she's surfing to the left, the water is rushing to the right. And get a little bit on the edge here. Now I got that. I'm just going to take a tiny bit. I got white in my brush still. I'm just going to grab just a tiny bit of black and make a light gray color. And I'm just going to lightly brush in a little bit of gray here and there, just to kind of give it another color in that white water. And I like to blot it because it kind of gives it some texture. Instead of being all nice and smooth, when it dries, it actually has a texture to it. And it looks, I like the way that looks. Gotta be careful not to make the gray too dark. And I'll come back later on after this paint is thoroughly dry, and I'll add a little bit more white water. I might actually take some of that modeling paste and put some modeling paste in there. That'll really give it some cool texture. But yeah, we'll see. All right, I'm gonna let that dry. I'm happy with that. A couple little dots up here in the sky where the water's just spraying right off. She's cruising down the line there. The white water is just kind of spraying everywhere. All right, cool. I'm just going to drop this brush into the cup of water. All right, I'm going to get a short break for a second. I never did come up with a name for my frog. This mug was pretty cool. I got it at a like a pottery or something. I can't remember the name of it. It's just one of those mugs. It's all white, and I got to paint it, and then they put the glaze on it and everything. It's really cool. Got a little wooden handle on it and trees and stuff. In the bottom of it, it says Joy. Maybe that's the name of the frog, Joy. I like it. All right. Now the fun part. Painting the silhouette. All right. Make sure my microphone's still good. Yep. Green means go. All right. So let me get my detail brush. This is a number 2 round. I'm just going to use this just around the edges where the flat brush is not very easy to use around those. So I'm just going to grab some black. I'm going to load up my brush pretty good. I'm going to scoot over here. Hopefully, I'm probably going to be in the way. Try to figure a different angle. We'll bring this in a little closer. It looks like that might work right there. All right, sorry about that. I had to adjust something. All right, so I'm just going to start. I like to try to start on the left and work to the right. If I start over here, and this is wet paint, and I go to work over here, I might get my hand in it. So I'm just going to start right over here. And basically with this little teeny round detail brush, I'm just going to outline. Like I said, these areas that are just really, really difficult to paint with a flat brush. Like I think I can get I'm focusing. Sorry, I got quiet. I was concentrating. I'm gonna grab my flat brush. I got a half inch flat. I always like to check the back of my hand, make sure I don't have any paint on it. Got too much water in there. That could have been catastrophic. That would have been really bad. Have the black and just have a drip of black paint go right down, watered down black go right down the artwork. You might actually see me cry. I'm just using the, I'm not going the flat section. I'm actually using on the edge is what I'm doing here. And then when I get to a little bit more safer open areas, then I'll turn the brush. So after I get all this blocked in with just a straight pure black, I'll come in later on after it dries, and then I'll start doing all the shading. I won't put you through that torture of watching me shade. It's not that exciting. I'm just going to get in here and paint like a good layer of the black paint. I'll leave her bikini top. I'll leave that part unpainted. That way I can come back and shade in some shadows. I'm just about out of black paint. I'm gonna have to use that detail brush up there near her fingers. I'll come back to that. Let me get a little more, just a little bit more black paint. Like that light is putting a good glare on there. Let's see if that's better. That looks a little better. Sorry for the glare. All right, got some more black now. This is where you have to breathe slowly and paint slowly. Don't want to mess this part up because it would be very, very tough to go back and touch it up with that sunset sky. It can be done, but it's tricky. Really going through this painting pretty quick. I don't have much left to do, so if you've managed to stick around this whole time, I appreciate you hanging out with me. I'm getting brave with this 1/2-inch flat brush here. I should be using my detail brush on these little areas that are really close and not much wiggle room. I'm just going to go ahead and draw paint in her outside of the edge of her leg. And be careful not to drag my hand through that white. Toes on the nose. And like I said, a little bit of surfboard that's showing. There's not much left of the nose of that surfboard. She's pretty much got it buried pretty good in the water there. It's always a little nervous thing trying to paint like without wobbling. And I'm just going to leave the bottom, her bikini bottom there. I'll just leave that unpainted because that's going to be like a gray color. Just about done. Once this first coat of black dries, I'll come back. Like I said before, I'll come back and I'll do some highlights. You know, where the sun's hitting her, there'll be a little bit of a on top of her arm there. I'll place in some gray. Top of her hairline, I'll place in some gray. You know, just areas where I know the sun is hitting the surface of her skin. You know, over here on her hip, a little bit down here on her leg, maybe the top of her foot. Those are the places that I'll just have to highlight. But like I said, I'll do that once this gray, once the black dries and everything. I usually come in after everything dries, and I'll come in and do the shading and add little highlights and stuff to it. But that'll be for another hour. I'll do that later on. All right, so basically I have left to do is a little bit of her hair, and then her left hand, right? Left. Her left hand. I'm gonna go back to that small round detail paintbrush. Let's get her hair real quick. I'm just barely touching the board here, the very, very top of the paintbrush, just into the bristles. Sometimes you have to water down your paint, like leave a little bit of water in your brush, bring it here to your pile of color, and sometimes you can just mix it right there, a little section right there. Oh, there's another tip. I think we're on what, tip number 5? So if you don't have this black paint where it rolls right off your brush real easy, then you got to press down harder, and then that's where you will not be able to get a really controlled edge. You may go too far. Outside the line. Got some of her hair just kind of fill in a little section. All right, time to get her hang loose sign. Barely touching the board here, just enough pressure to get that paint to lift off of the brush. Everybody doing all right? I'm going to change the angle here. Be patient with me for a second. Trying to get it where I can get a little bit better view, because the angle that I'm trying to work with is not working with the angle of the camera. Sorry if my hand is kind of blocking where I'm painting at, but trying to do my best. This is where you got to be so careful and not make any mistakes or any happy accidents. Good old Bob. Love Bob. I learned a lot from Bob. I do enjoy painting with oil-based paints too, but they are just so different, and I like my paintings to be able to dry quickly. And with the oil-based paintings, I mean, I could paint this and it would probably take like 3 weeks. 3 weeks to full on dry, fully dry. And then if I was trying to sell this painting, it would take a very long time for the person would have to wait to get it in the mail. So I usually don't paint in oil paint. All right, back this camera up here. We're pushing an hour and 10 minutes. Not bad. All right, I kind of feel like I'm gonna go ahead and quickly paint in the bikini bottom and top with some gray, and then we'll wrap this thing up. Wrap it up. I'm gonna do a quick rinse on my brush. I'm gonna grab some white with a scotch of black. Just make me a nice dark gray. Check the back of my hand, make sure there's no paint on the back of my hand. Here's her little bikini tie on the side of her hip. Like I said, I'm just going to do like a nice dark gray for right now, and then I'll come back and do some highlights. The shadowing and everything like that. Put all the details in it later. So yeah, if you're wanting to see some of the other stuff that I paint or do, you can check it out on Facebook. You can go to Surf Shack Creations on Facebook. Check me out over there. Same thing on Instagram. Go to Surf Shack Creations on Instagram, and I got like almost all my work over there. All my paintings and surfboards and stuff that I do. All right, we just have the top of her bikini to get. Just gonna put a little bit of gray right here. Like I was saying before, I greatly appreciate you guys watching my video, my live stream. I greatly appreciate your time. If you guys are interested in any of my art, obviously you can message me and ask me any kind of questions. I do sell my art. I don't really have anything like an Etsy page or anything yet, but you can definitely message me in Facebook at Surf Shack Creations. You can find me on Instagram, Surf Shack Creations. And you can definitely message me here at YouTube. Just leave me a comment, a message, or whatever, if you're interested in some surfing art. I'll be happy to answer any of your questions. And I'll let this dry really good, and then I'll put a nice clear coat on it to protect the paint. I'll give it a couple days to dry, and then I'll clear it. All right, I think for now, like I said before, I'll come back through and I'll add in, just to give you a sample example, I'll just add in some highlights where the sun's shining down and hitting, cascading on her skin and stuff. And there'll be some spots down here around her hip that, I can add in for some shadowing. Yeah, super stoked. This one came out. I love it. I love it. I love it. Very happy with it. I'll do some more finishing touches on it whenever it fully dries. So yeah, I do appreciate you guys watching, stopping by, saying hey. Like I said, if you have any questions or anything you want to ask me, you can definitely comment me, and I'll do my best to get back to you as soon as possible. But for now, stay tuned for the next live stream. I'll post it, hopefully get one in here next week, and do another painting for you guys. And I guess that's it for now. Thanks for watching, and peace out.